Good morning. It is a political hotbed in this house this morning. Not for all of us about the news, but for some of us about the dishwasher. My argument is if it's clean, empty it. Don't put your stuff next to the sink, empty it, and then you can put your stuff in the dishwasher. Their argument is, huh? Which is teenage speak for, I can't be arsed. You can fill the rest in yourself. But the political hotbed out of that is surrounding the NHS and our approach to state and private healthcare and education. And by the way, please do keep subscribing. It's lovely to have you on board. It's helping the channel grow, and share the message. Let's have some more people involved in these discussions. So this morning's argument on X is there's a lady who is a staunch supporter, her own words, of the NHS. And it would be abhorrent for her to go private. She cannot think about it. Why does that hand thing come up? I don't know. Anyway, so she has said, even though she has the capital to be able to go private, she would never do that because she's a staunch supporter of the NHS. And she said it would be selfish to use private healthcare. Now, I too am a staunch supporter of the NHS. They have served me very well over the years. I've had surgery since I was a little person, and it has carried on all the way through my life, and they've been amazing. I do not have one bad word to say against the NHS. Based on that, if something's on its knees and it's literally dying, do you kick it into the ground, or do you hold, why is it doing that? Or do you hold your hand out and say, come on, I'm going to help you. Let's work out how we can make this better. You see, I do the latter. So I turn around and say, right, okay, NHS, you're crippled. So in the same way that if somebody in the office had way too much work to do and they were completely overloaded, would you give them more work so that it took them longer and the quality was lesser? Or would you take some work away from them so that the quality of the work that they had got, they could focus on and it would be better? You see, I would do the latter. I would take work away from them so that they could produce a better quality output. So I simplistically apply that to education and I apply that to healthcare. So I don't think it is selfish to use, if you've got that disposable income, to use it. And honestly speaking, if you're in the queue and if you're number 20 and number 19 has got the money to move to the private sector so you can move up one, I'd be saying, do you know what? Go for it. Knock your socks off. Be as selfish as you like. Because selfishly, I'd like to move up a rung and I don't have the money to be able to afford to go to private. So I'd really like to stay one up and get my procedure, my care quicker. So go for it with my blessing. It's not selfish. It's actually selfish to be standing in the queue with me. I think it's a real act of humanity for you to take yourself out and use your money because you have it to be able to get still a great healthcare outcome for yourself. You're not going to lose anything, but you're going to allow somebody else to move further up that wait list. It just makes total sense. And the reason it makes total sense is when we take that pressure off the NHS, we talk about driving high and rising standards. Well, then they can, because they've got less people pushing down on them. So they've got less people to deal with. So everybody can suddenly go, breathe and focus. And the care that they have historically been giving 5 people, they can give to 3 people. No, and they can really invest in those 3 people, knowing that the outcome is going to be brilliant and they are not fighting for resources, fighting for theatre time, fighting for appointments, fighting for anything. They are simply able to devote their time to that patient. I just don't get why we don't do that. And it's the same in the education system. There are people in state education who can afford private education. Now, they might not have wanted to, but they have got that money. Now, if we weren't in the backdrop of the state education system is on its knees and we weren't having to give it a hand to pull it out of the mess it's in, then you could argue, well, why should I? And yeah, do you know what? Fair enough. But it is on its knees. We do know that. We know that the SEND system is crippled. We know that the SEND system is pretty much a safeguarding risk. Yet we're imposing a policy that is going to suffocate the SEND system, that is literally on its last breath. It's now going to be suffocated because we're bringing kids in from a sector that were historically not bothering the state system. They were just getting on with it, doing their own thing. But now we've priced them out of the market. We've put them into a different market. Now, that's not a properly funded education system, is it? And it's not a properly funded NHS system. So when somebody says to me, or says on the wider platform, I think it's selfish to use my money to buy myself a quicker resolution or a different resolution or a better resolution, I say, no, it's not selfish. What's selfish is to knowingly hold someone back from the only resolution that they can have. Now, you're always going to get people that have more. I would love to have the cars that my friends have got. I mean, openly, my eyes go green when I see them, but I can't afford it. I can't. But I've made other choices in life that have precluded that. Now, if I want to have the car, then I need to change my choices in life, or I need to do something else about it. That's just how it works. Or I might just never get that car. I think it's going to be the latter. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to afford to have their cars. But I need to make peace with that. I need to be where I'm at in my journey. And I can't expect my friends who have got these cars to give their cars up just because I can't have it. But it'd be really nice if they could loan it to me if mine broke down, which it does all the time. It would be like a permanent lease, wouldn't it? But can you see what I'm saying here? We have two systems. We have a properly funded private healthcare system and a properly funded private education system. And we have a state-funded education system and a state-funded health system. And in the state, it's not working. It's overcrowded. It can't cope. It's suffocating. And we've got people in that system that could take some of the pressure off. So I think, personally, it's selfish. I think if you don't need to use state at this moment in time on the economic platform we're on, then why would you? If you have the ability to take yourself out of the system so that somebody who does desperately need it can use it, I think morally that's the right thing to do. And I struggle, we have an ethical framework in medicine. I struggle to understand why we don't have an ethical framework to work with in education, because we're talking about children. And sometimes decisions need to be made on what's ethically the right thing to do. And I think we can all have our opinions. We can all have our own sort of, I think it would be selfish. Well, you might think it would be selfish, but actually, pragmatically, if you care that much about the NHS, then you're supporting it by taking yourself out of it in this particular instance. Just my thoughts. I'm sure I'll get a barrage of people telling me they're wrong, but that's what this is all about. Convince me, tell me otherwise. It's growth mindset. You have to be able to be prepared to listen to somebody else and go, okay, fair enough. So let's see. But that's where I stand on this at the minute. I need to go and sort the dishwasher situation out, because I think it might make my blood pressure rise, and then I may well be in need of the NHS.